Cardiff, 1958, the close of the Commonwealth Games. 8 years ago, this message from the Queen.
I intend to create my son Charles, Prince of Wales, today. When he is grown up, I will present him to you at Carnarvon.
Carnarvon Castle, built with money borrowed from Lombardy bankers by Edward I, faced with a medieval squeeze. Here, the first Prince of Wales was presented 700 years ago. The monarchy is our oldest political institution, older than the jury system, older than Parliament. In a time of rapid change, it faces the problems of all ancient institutions. How to be modern. Inside Europe, only 6 crowned heads are left. Only in Britain does the monarchy flourish in the grand manner. Enduringly popular, it provides continuing attraction. But beyond the bars, Buckingham Palace stands aloof. Its intimate workings a dark unknown. A barricade of silence and formality keeps the onlooker at a distance, the barrier contributing to its aura of mystery. What do the British people think of the monarchy today? To find out, Panorama commissioned this poll. It put its questions to 1,000 people representative of those over 16 in Britain. It conducted interviews all over the country. It's the latest measure of public opinion about various aspects of the monarchy today.
Now, on this card, there are 4 different views of what should happen in the future. Can you tell me, please, which is nearest to your own point of view? The monarchy should be abolished. The monarchy should be allowed to wither away slowly. The monarchy should continue as it is now. The monarchy should continue but change with the times. Now, which is nearest your own point of view?
I say the monarchy should continue as it is now.
Yes.
Because we all respect them and we understand them as they are.
Yeah, monarchy should be abolished.
The monarchy should be abolished.
Yeah.
What makes you say that?
Well, what good are they? They're no good at all, are they?
Why do you say that?
You've got the Queen, the Duke of Edinburgh, you've got the rest of them. They're taking the public's money, aren't they? That's what I feel about it.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to see the monarchy continue, but I would like to see it change with the times.
Yes.
Be modern.
Change with the times. Well, I feel that, everything's so, you're closer together now, aren't you? I mean, not like in the days when we didn't even know who lived in the next county or something. Now you can get so close to each other. I feel that we should move with the times.
I should think that the monarchy in this country could, well, develop more on the lines of the Scandinavian countries, for example, where the monarchy is much sort of freer, more relaxed.
90% want the monarchy to stay, but only 1 in 4 think it should continue as it is now. The great majority, 64%, think it should change with the times. His Grace the Duke of Norfolk arrives at the start of a royal tour. Premier Duke, Earl Marshal of England, Lord Lieutenant of Sussex. He's personally organised the Queen's tour of some South Coast towns. The first royal visit to Rye for 30 years starts here. Gorgeously arrayed, the Duke sails up the gravel drive and drops anchor alongside the Mayor of Rye. The Queen will look at a horse she used to own. The Mayor receives the Queen here at his farm.
I've got a car in front of me.
We can't hear what the Queen says. Microphones are not permitted near her. The bystander, however close, is always at a distance. Only those directly involved participate. A little of the palace mystique comes with her on tour. Her program is skillfully planned, timed like a military operation. It's a 9-hour working day for the Queen. 6 towns still to go.
She asked how many races you'd won, and you were quite surprised you'd done so well, I think.
That's the first time you've seen her?
Well, I've seen her before, but never quite so close, and I was so busy snapping that I really didn't know what I was doing.
5 minutes spent in Winchelsea, then on to Hastings.
Off, Generals! On!
Here she comes, she's all in pink. Here we are, lovely. Absolutely, here she comes. Super. Oh, come on. Well, we thought it was very nice.
We
Very
thought she
nice
was
indeed.
lovely.
And we thought she looked very pretty.
I thought she looked lovely.
Yeah.
And the Duke.
First time you've seen her?
Yes,
What impressed you most about her?
the colour of her hat.
What do you think of the visit this morning?
All right. Wish she'd come out on the balcony or something so that we could have all seen her. Yes, I mean, we could have seen her all. I mean, she just didn't turn round at the steps. Of course, the Duke did.
Well, Prince Philip turned round and he waved.
Yes, I wish the Queen had.
Yes.
What about the Queen?
She didn't
Just
turn
walked
round.
straight in,
Yes.
didn't
She didn't notice us at all. We might not have been here.
Still, it's a red letter day for Hastings. It really is. A day we've looked forward to very much.
Lunch at the hotel now with 120 guests. No peeping through the windows, please.
Why do they have to be moved?
Well, because they're all staring in the restaurant where the lunch is going to be taken.
Hotel rooms get a facelift for the visit. What does it cost?
It probably is a little costly to the hotel. It's hard to say how much. It's out of season now. It'd be difficult to hazard a guess.
Well, give me an idea, roughly. You're
roughly,
the manager.
Roughly £200 or £300 perhaps, not more. Very difficult question, really.
And the Queen is here for 1 hour. Now, do you think it's
1
worth
hour and a
that?
half? Oh, every penny, yes, rather.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have been asked to repeat my announcement. I very much regret to tell you that the Queen has been delayed about 10 minutes. She will be here just about 10 minutes after our expected time of arrival. That is about now 2:30.
The Queen makes 25 visits like this to the provinces every year. A wet, bleak day, but thousands still turn out and line the way, even for a glimpse. After lunch, a visit to a new Hastings college. The young people's turn. Each occasion is a set piece, an endless moving belt of aldermanic handshakes, almost a ritual. She can't meet everyone. The custom is to meet their elected representatives. If the camera edges too close, the royal detective places himself between it and the Queen. The College of Further Education presents her with electronic noughts and crosses for the royal children. What impact does the visit have? The workmen who are building the college.
Well, I don't know why it's important, but it didn't seem important this morning before she came, but now it did. Now we've seen it, yeah.
What impressed you most about it then?
Well, I think she came over. I think she came over much better in person than what we've seen her on television. Nothing against your telly or anything like that, but
she looked really nice, didn't she?
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
To when you see her on the television, she seems to be miserable.
Tense.
Miserable?
And tense, yeah. Yes. But she looked really nice.
Requests for royal visits continue to flood Buckingham Palace. What impresses students in Prince Charles's age group? How do you feel about the visit now it's over?
Worth seeing, I suppose.
What?
Worth seeing, I suppose.
You don't sound too sure. Is it or isn't it?
Rather not to put up for such a short time. A lot of money's been spent.
Well, for a little time.
What do you mean by that? A lot of money has been spent.
Well, on the preparations.
Yes. How much?
Oh, I don't know, about £500, I think.
Yeah. Who paid for it, do you know?
We did. We did. The college.
The college did?
Yes.
And you object to that?
Well, not that the college paid. I object that it's such a large sum.
Do you think the visit's been worthwhile, though?
No, not really.
Yes. Well, what do you think of seeing the Queen, though? Is that important to you or not?
No.
Yeah, I think so. She means more to me than Harry Wilson does, anyway.
What value do you think a visit like this has?
I don't know, I missed most of it. I blinked.
Late afternoon, on to Eastbourne. Every move has been planned months in advance. Local officials, like the Chief Constable, are summoned to Buckingham Palace to discuss details.
I first heard about this royal visit from the town clerk some 4 months ago. Then I went with him to Buckingham Palace, where we saw Sir Edward Ford. I think on an occasion such as this, the role of the police is to be efficient yet unobtrusive. For example, we don't want a lot of motorcyclists acting as an escort immediately around the royal party. I understand that the royal family do not like it.
Who's in charge of the Queen's security, you or the palace?
Well, I suppose I must accept full responsibility, but I naturally consult the palace.
Well, have you a list of names who might cause you trouble here?
We have heard of a few rather odd people, and we shall do our best to see they don't cause any trouble.
Well, that has the crank of handcuffs in it. What do you do?
No.
Do you take them away somewhere, or what?
In a country like this, you can't lock people up. We shall just, if we see them about, well, we'll take care they don't cause any trouble.
What kind of people are they?
Well, they're usually people who, frankly, are unbalanced, unfortunately.
What about the cost of this visit?
The cost is comparatively small. We felt that in this time of financial difficulty for the country, Her Majesty would not want lavish expenditure. We have, of course, brought forward 2 or 3 items of expenditure, such as new catering equipment and a carpet in the town hall, which would have had to have been obtained in any event. She is paying a visit to the town as part of a very long and busy day's program. She is being, I think, absolutely wonderful in meeting many people. Obviously, she cannot meet all who would like to be presented to her. I think it's right that the council who have been elected by the people of Eastbourne to represent them should be presented to her. We are very fortunate in Sussex in as much as we have the Duke of Norfolk, the Earl Marshal of England, as our Lord Lieutenant. We always feel that with him behind us, we ought not to go wrong. I think it creates a very happy memory for everyone who sees the Queen. I'm often struck by the fact that people still talk about the visits we've had from members of the royal family in the past. I think they appreciate, too, that these very busy and important people do spare the time to come and have a look at us.
Next day, back to normal along William the Conqueror's coast. The Queen's visit was not reported in national television news, ignored by the London dailies. It was front-page local news only. The Queen went to meet the people. But the style of visit allows few meaningful exchanges beyond the charm circle. It's a style that hasn't changed for many years. Programs seem rigid and formal. But the next day, all Britain saw this.
The Queen's tribute to the dead of Aberfan. The village where 147 died welcomed the Queen quietly, sincerely, without fuss. People said the Queen seemed more moved and upset than she'd been since the death of her father.
The absence of protocol, the simple way the Queen met and talked to the bereaved parents of Aberfan made a powerful impression. Even allowing for these tragic circumstances, this effectively counters those who maintain that formality and the Queen must be inseparable. These moving pictures showed vividly that it is possible for the Queen's own personality to emerge and establish real contact with people. Aberfan demonstrated how deeply the Queen expresses national sentiment in times of great crisis and emotion. The state opening of Parliament, the ancient symbols of monarchy, open the political year. In the House of Lords, the Queen will come to read the speech from the throne, a speech written for her by her government and spelling out her government's legislation. In a democracy, why do we need a monarchy? The Duke of Edinburgh himself has said.
Well, they're head of state. As simple as that. You've got to have a head of state. There are different ways of getting them. You can elect them. You can have an elected executive president who is a man who holds the political power and is a combination of what we would call a prime minister and a sovereign, like the president of the United States. You can get a non-executive president like the president of Russia, but he has no executive power and does exactly what the sovereign does now here, which is to be the head of the state. And this is partly legal, partly emotional, partly convenient. It makes a very good division of responsibility. The Prime Minister does all the political business, and the people who oppose him politically don't necessarily have to oppose him as head of state. The advantage of a monarchy or a non-executive president is that it is above politics. It doesn't enter into the political arguments of the day.
In terms of real power now, the kings and queens have become waxen puppets. Since Cromwell, their powers have continually eroded. Today, the Queen has less constitutional power than any British monarch in history. Historian Robert Blake.
The real change took place with the Reform Bill of 1832. Then, for the first time, Parliament was genuinely independent of the monarchy. Even so, there was an area of choice left. Queen Victoria had an element of choice because the party divisions were far more fluid than they are today. There was much more cross-voting, and more than one person might be capable of commanding a parliamentary majority. But as time went on, this changed even in her reign. And since then, with the increasing rigidity of party lines and the tendency for elections to give a clear result and leave no doubt as to who has won and who the leader is who more or less must be sent for, the power of the monarch has become less and less, until today the area of monarchical choice in any genuine sense is very limited indeed.
But our poll shows that there is confusion about just what the Queen's powers are. 7 out of 10 people questioned thought the Queen, in varying degrees, has power to affect important decisions.
Well, I think the Queen has got the power in the country, and her word goes for everything. Everything has got to go to the Queen, and I think she's got a lot of power.
Well, quite a lot, hasn't she?
Quite a lot.
Well, I think she should have the power. She hasn't really. She's the head over the Parliament, isn't she? And anything that happens, they usually go to her for the final decision.
Well, from what I understand from history and that, is that the only thing that she's got control of is to sign the things after they've been through the House of Lords 3 times, or wherever it is. And that's the only power she's got, otherwise she's told what to do.
October 63. The Queen visits her Prime Minister, Harold Macmillan, sick in hospital. He is resigning. One of the Queen's most important remaining powers is the role she plays in the choice of a Prime Minister. In practice, she takes advice about a successor. But legally, she is not compelled to follow it. Lord Hume is called to the palace. He's a surprise choice. His emergence as leader arouses a good deal of controversy. It alienates sections of the party. The haste with which Lord Hume was summoned to the palace left room for doubt in some minds that had the moves not been made so quickly, another might have been chosen. But he was able to form a government. Later, Sir Alec introduced an election for the leadership of the Tory party. It has further diminished the area in which the Queen can operate. The old system had involved the monarch in confused and embarrassing procedures. I asked Sir Alec whether he felt his choice as Prime Minister was the result of improper constitutional advice.
No, I think that the procedures which we had in the Conservative Party at that time were perfectly good. But on the whole, I myself thought that an improvement upon them would be to adopt the election procedure. Now, this I would think would be a considerable help to the sovereign. The sovereign can dismiss a prime minister, the sovereign can choose a prime minister and seek any advice that is required. But nevertheless, I would think that the purpose of the sovereign and the Queen in this matter must be to try and find the person who has the maximum support within the party.
But do you agree that the reform that you instituted in electing a leader of the Tory party has robbed the Queen of her prerogative to choose a Prime Minister? You present her with a leader, surely now, that she approves.
You don't present the Queen with a leader who the Queen must accept. The Queen has a perfect right not to accept the choice of the party if she decides that this would not be in the public interest.
Every Tuesday night at 6:30, a black Humber Imperial pulls out of Whitehall. The Prime Minister, wearing green tie and lounge suit, sets out down the Mall, off to the palace for his weekly meeting with the Queen. Meetings last upwards of half an hour. It's an appointment even Prime Ministers are careful not to be late for. This is a direct link between government and the Queen. The sovereign is bound to accept a Prime Minister's formal advice. She, in turn, has the right to be consulted and to warn. As the car disappears into the inner courtyard, we're not permitted to see where he goes. A Prime Minister's meeting with the Queen is entirely confidential.
I can only say that I find it of great value, and I'm quite certain that I would be speaking to for every British Prime Minister. Queen has a very wide experience and happily an ever-lengthening experience, and she knows every Commonwealth Prime Minister from her tours in the Commonwealth and from Commonwealth meetings in London, and I should think every Commonwealth statesman personally.
What happens at a Tuesday night meeting?
Well, I think the public impression is that it's all about the political business of the week. Well, of course, that plays a part, and there's always international events or things going on in Parliament in which the Queen is interested, and the Prime Minister would inform the Queen about them if she didn't already know, although, of course, she reads Hansard and she has the Whip's reports. But there are many other areas of conversation that I can think of. For instance, the church. I mean, you might have a very unchurchy Prime Minister and a very unworldly Archbishop, not an impossible combination by any means. Now, in that case, the Queen would be a very valuable bridge between church and state. The relations with the Church of Scotland are different again. So there are many, many areas in which the Prime Minister and the Queen talk about many things.
Who decides what you will talk about? Who takes the initiative?
Well, I suppose in the normal case, the business of the week probably starts off the conversation.
But there's no one else in the room. The Prime Minister and the Queen are alone together. Now, why is that important or necessary?
Well, I think it's very important that there should be a personal relationship between the sovereign and the Prime Minister of the day.
Did you personally find it important or helpful to you that the Queen, because she has access to the state papers of all previous administrations, not just your own in that case, was this a help to you?
Well, of course, it does. One does know that the Queen has the continuing advice of Prime Ministers and Ministers over the years. And this is valuable because governments can change, sometimes can change very often, and the Queen therefore is able to put a continuing point of view.
Twice a day, this coach from the Royal Mews drives through the gates of Buckingham Palace. It pulls up at the Privy Purse door. It brings dispatch boxes from various government departments in Whitehall. The Queen sees all the papers of the Cabinet. Privileged documents will follow her wherever she happens to be. Her legal powers may be circumscribed. Access to secret and confidential information retains for the sovereign a potential area of influence. The channel through which this information must pass before it gets to the Queen is her private secretary, Sir Michael Dean. He is her link with the outside world, the most important of the Queen's courtiers. The Queen's advisors are almost a hereditary institution themselves. Dean is a grandson of George V's private secretary. Sir Edward Ford, assistant secretary, retiring soon. But his successor will come from outside, a former civil servant. Closest to the throne, backgrounds of public schools and the guards predominate. The advisors are men of armor-clad discretion and integrity. So as to be impartial, they don't even vote. The private secretary owes his loyalty only to the Queen. He's not responsible to Parliament. In the words of one historian, he is the man who shapes the whisper to the throne, the channel through which advice, secrets, and public opinion reach the Queen's ear. In this context, the restricted social background of the court is most open to attack. They seem ultra-cautious of modern change, slightly distrustful even of the fundamental reservoir of goodwill which exists among the public for the monarchy.
You go to the Clive House, Petty Frank first, then the Foreign Office, then through the Cabinet.
Away go the confidential state papers, maybe atomic secrets, down the Mall by horse, a puzzling image the palace presents. How much influence does the Queen have? Labour's elder statesman, Emmanuel Shinwell.
Political influence? Or perhaps when the Prime Minister makes his report to the Queen, or perhaps when members of the Cabinet visit the Queen at her request. Whatever may happen, and Her Majesty makes a suggestion, offers a word of advice on some matter, it's taken note of course, but it's the decision of the government that counts, and not the decision of the monarchy.
Well, how much power has the Queen got?
I should think very little.
But she has got statutory powers to dissolve Parliament, to choose her own Prime Minister, in theory at least.
I think that's a fiction. That's the theory. But in practice that doesn't happen. The decision to dissolve Parliament is, in fact, apart from theory, is the decision of the Prime Minister himself.
It's impossible, therefore, for the Queen to choose as Labour Prime Minister a man who had not already been elected as leader of the Parliamentary Labour Party.
Impossible. Or if any attempt of that sort was made, it would be strongly resented.
Well, if, therefore, her powers are, as you maintain, fictional, why do people like you, the politicians in Parliament, maintain the fiction?
Well, I don't personally maintain the fiction. I know there are a lot of fictions that aren't maintained. Simply because people don't bother about them. For example, if the hereditary privilege and power and authority of the monarch is, in my view, just a fiction, in the sense that we're exercising authority. But there are some people who accept it because it's not worth arguing about. I mean, if you're not troubled by something, well, why bother about it?
What does she mean, my husband and I? I thought you wrote it, says Mrs. Wilson to her husband about the Queen's speech. And don't feel you have to fly back every day to report Prime Minister. Trogg, in The Observer, attacks the use made of the monarchy by the politicians. The era of the Beatles. The Beatles MBE. Honours continue to have great attraction, awarded by the Queen, in practice with few exceptions, bestowed by the Prime Minister.
Well, I think one of the great difficulties, I think, now is that the Prime Minister is becoming more and more a powerful figure, that the whole apparatus of publicity and the whole nature of modern government means that he is very strong and he has tremendous powers of patronage. Now, the fact that the patronage is all made to appear as if it comes from the palace does mean, in fact, that he can exercise it much more effectively and, in a sense, much more discreetly. so that by operating from behind the facade of the monarchy, what is in fact very often a very personal form of patronage, he does exercise a very convenient, and I think much too convenient, form of very personal power. Well, I think the trouble is that the whole trick of patronage is to confuse merit and privilege together, and that at the top of what should be, in fact, quite a competitive and quite a tough world, you do get this extraordinary world where ancient dukes and old families are mixed up with new people, which can very easily become a whole distortion of life, and it does tremendously encourage people, particularly as they grow older, to think in rather muddled terms about what Britain ought to be doing.
It's 13 years since the coronation, the high point of mystical and religious enthusiasm for the monarchy that got a little out of hand. The 50s were to usher in the new Elizabethan age, but in Europe, they were negotiating the common market. Others cashed in on the emotion. The 50s was a period caught by David Lowe in a famous cartoon published in The Guardian after the coronation. It took a long time to sober up. The dignity of the British state sets very high standards. Our ceremonial leads the world. It's more expensive, too. Set against its cost is its vast attraction for tourism. The bill for much of the ceremonial and large-scale entertainment we choose to provide is paid for by the Queen. It swells the probable cost of the monarchy to over £2 million a year. The Queen is the nation's host. Her salaried staff to cope with all this numbers over 300. Entertaining guests at a royal garden party will cost £10,000. To pay for everything, the Queen gets £500,000 a year, voted at the start of her reign. Since then, inflation has reduced the value of the Queen's money by a third. Today, the Crown is in debt. For some time, Buckingham Palace has been in the red. The government must decide, cut our ceremonial or provide more money. The Queen Mother receives £70,000 a year. These payments are made on top of the Queen's. Prince Philip gets £40,000. The Duke of Gloucester, £35,000. Princess Margaret, £15,000. Unlike the Queen, they all pay tax. Half those interviewed believe the monarchy preserves class differences.
Yes, I would say it does, actually, yes.
And would you say that's a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, actually, that's one bad thing I say about that.
It's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Do you think the Queen meets enough people from all walks of life in her public duties?
Well, yes, I should say she do, because the Duke's very down to earth, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't think so. She mixes with all lower class as well as upper class, doesn't she? I think she encourages the people to mix more.
Well, as regards meeting the Queen, I don't think the people do meet her enough. I think that she should get out and meet the people more instead of meeting all these at these social occasions, meet the common people.
Yes.
Talk to them, converse with them more.
The survey showed that cost and class cause most concern. 42% believe money is wasted. 49% felt it helped to preserve class distinctions, but only half of those thought that was a bad thing. A typically savage drawing by Gerald Scarfe. This was recently seen by the mass readership of the Daily Mirror. He depicts the Queen riding a horse which is a bankrupt Britain. Today, this passes without much comment. It demonstrates the difference in climate compared with 9 years ago. Criticisms like these burst like a bomb on the English social scene in the 50s. The present age of disparagement and debunking will find it difficult to appreciate the uproar caused by Lord Altringham's attacks. Lord Altringham, today John Grigg. Then as now an ardent monarchist, he maintains his criticisms.
Well, one of the points I was making was that there should be criticism, that no great national institution should be above criticism. More specifically, I suggested that there should be a less rigid and stereotyped royal programme, that there should be more spontaneity and more imagination in the way the royal family used their great opportunity. And I also suggested that the royal household, the court, the Queen's personal staff and advisors should be far more representative than they were, or indeed still are. I think there's tremendous passive support for the monarchy anyway, but most people wouldn't be satisfied with a great institution like this, that it should only be supported passively. And if it's going to be enthusiastically supported, particularly by young people, it must make an appeal to the imagination.
But as the Queen grows older, how can she be expected to appeal to youth?
Well, I think the Queen will always make an appeal because she has great dignity and great qualities of her own. But I think perhaps there might come a time, this would be for her to decide, but there might come a time when she would feel that the example of Queen Wilhelmina of the Netherlands was worth considering. You may remember that she stood down at a certain moment in her reign in favour of her heir, so as to make sure that her heir had a chance of doing the big job while still in the fullness of health and strength.
Well, doesn't that destroy the hereditary principle of the British monarchy?
No, because it's still hereditary. I mean, it's a free decision by the Queen who succeeded to the job by hereditary process, and she's merely anticipating an event which would anyway occur in the ordinary course of hereditary, ordinary course of nature.
The heir to the throne, the advice and criticism at school in Australia. His education has been a significant break with royal traditions of exclusiveness and private tutors. The monarchy's role in the rapid evolution of the Commonwealth is among its most impressive achievements. Most people feel Prince Charles should do an ordinary job. Half the country feels he should do a Commonwealth job. About the Prince of Wales, we know little. These are his classmates at Timbertop in Australia.
Nobody I ever heard ever asked him, well, what's it like to be a prince? As soon as he came, they accepted him straight away as a boy, and he was here, and we'd make it as pleasant as we could for him. At the beginning of the year, I recognised a definite shy, unapproachable sort of air about him. But once the lot of us got to know him, he became a lot more confident, and I think this showed a lot throughout Australia and in England as well.
But he was fairly easy to get to know, wasn't he, Bridge?
He was very easy to get to know.
On the way back from this hike, we were lost at the time, but not majorly lost, but we came up to this. We came into this little clearing, and I saw this snake skin there, an old snake skin, which had been shed by some snake, and picked it up and said, "Oh, look at that snake skin." And then he said, "Is that dead?" I looked at him and said, "Yeah, funny boy." And I looked down, there was this 4-foot black snake there, and Charles quickly killed that easily.
He often spoke of wanting to go to university. I think he would have liked to have gone to a university very much.
For us, the royalty, apart from having known Prince Charles, the royalty is very aloof. And for most Australians, the royalty means very little at all, because they haven't really had any personal contact with them.
That we don't see enough of them, I think, and people are very tend very much to forget that the monarchy of England is the monarchy also of Australia.
I think it shatters the illusion that that royalty is different. That the royal family as ethereal beings who sort of look down on the world with pleasure or displeasure. It makes us realise that, in fact, they are human beings doing a job.
Prince Charles will begin his public life at Carnarvon. A ceremony dormant for centuries was revived by Lloyd George as a flamboyant gesture to Welsh nationalism. Here in 1911, Edward VIII is presented as Prince of Wales. Of this ceremony, his mother said, "Because you are a prince, you're obliged to do certain things that may seem a little silly." For Prince Charles, the dilemma noted by Edward VIII must grow more acute. How to reconcile monarchy's traditions with today's informality. How to stay remote enough to be royal, yet appeal to the spirit of the times.
generally speaking, I think the public would prefer, and certainly many politicians prefer, to see the monarch associated with people of intellectual stature, people associated with the universities, with technology, with modern concepts, and occasionally with members of the working class who are, by the way, nowadays, not in the past when I was quite young, nowadays much better educated than some of the people on the top.
Well, of course, there are difficulties, always have been, and the royal family, I would have thought, has been very adaptable in a rapidly changing world. The Queen herself takes a very large part in the public life of the country, and nobody can say that Prince Philip isn't a modern prince, in every sense of the word. Now, the Prince of Wales has had an education rather different from any of that of his ancestors. And this will, I would have thought, help him enormously to adapt himself to changing times. And therefore, he will become a leader in his own right among his contemporaries of all kinds in this country. The other systems, of course, in the world, but I'm not greatly attracted by the political heads of states, and I'm prejudiced, therefore, in favor of a monarchy which has colour and richness, and therefore holds the respect of the people.